And I've got one more little surprise for you. Well, actually two. Hey friends, my name is Julie and welcome back to my farm. If you're a sheep, this is a very exciting day because today is the first day of spring grazing. And as we get closer, you will hear how excited they are because they are bawing their heads off. So Daryl has been up here setting up fences. We use the Premier One electric net fencing to contain and move our sheep as we rotationally graze throughout the season. Hi guys. Hi Jun Jun. Hi Sai Sai. Good morning. So for the first day, we just add a fence to their existing sacrifice area. So they've been in this winter sacrifice area for about 4 months, just eating hay and a little bit of brewer's grain. That's what Daryl is feeding them right now. So he's gonna distract them with the grain, and then he's got the fence set up around this back pasture area. So while they're eating, he can open it up without getting bum rushed by the entire flock, and then they'll have access to a little bit of grass. When you first start grazing for the season, you want to kind of take it slow. So the grass that they're going to have access to is not super lush like some of the stuff that you see behind me, and it's not a whole lot of grass. So they're going to gorge themselves on whatever I give them. So if I kind of limit what I give them the first few days, let their guts adjust to having fresh grass as opposed to dried grass, which is hay, there's much less chance that we'll have cases of diarrhea or any other digestive problems. And it looks like he's been spotted. So they're gonna start running over there. I'm gonna go see if he needs any help. Do you need help? Bubba, no. Sai. Yeah, twist. Yeah. So the older sheep know about the grass. This will be the first time for all of the lambs getting to experience it. All right, they're actually being pretty calm about the whole thing. Just kind of strolling out here and getting some grass. They look super scruffy right now because they're starting their spring shed. You can really see it on this little guy here. It looks like his sides got rubbed off. Pretty soon they're gonna be all sleek and shiny. Yeah, even Cypress likes the fresh spring grass.
He doesn't like fresh spring grass.
Yeah, that's good. Sweet. So not only is springtime for lambing and kidding, it's also piglet season here on the farm. And Miss Melanie over here delivered her piglets about a week ago, and everybody is doing great. The last litter she only had 7, and that was last year. I actually bought her pregnant. All but one of those piglets have already gone to the processor. We gave her quite a break, and because we're not selling that much pork anymore, especially in the winter where the markets kind of slow down, and then put her and Amy back in with our boar Connor in December. And about a week ago, she had a nice big litter. So she actually had 14. One was stillborn. She delivered it way later in the day after all the healthy piglets were already up and nursing. She had 2 that were tiny runts that really never got very mobile and definitely could not compete for milk with the other big piglets. So we lost those in the first day or two. And then there was one unfortunate crushing, which with these big mama sows, it's probably the biggest reason people lose piglets. Even with a sow like Mel, who is very conscientious and careful about where she lays down and steps, she managed to just pin one's face under her. So that left us with 10 healthy piglets, but they are all rocking and rolling. They're doing great. We've got them out here on this grass now so they can enjoy some more sun and some rooting around and eating greens. And Mama Mel is just nursing them like crazy. She is such a good mom. And I've had a little bit of time to spend with these piglets, and they're super friendly. They want to come up for scratches and nibble at my pants, and it's awesome. You can't even see them all tucked in over there. It's a cold morning, so they're all in their hut in the hay, filling up on milk. Sweet mama. And then we've got these fences set up that lead over to Connor and Amy. We really like our mama pigs to co-mother. We try to breed 2 at the same time. Amy took a cycle later than Mel, so she's probably got another few days to a week before she delivers, but her milk is definitely starting to come in. She's laying around a lot more, so I want her to get in here and get comfortable. Hi, big boy. Connor loves greens, so he's kind of jealous. We've been pulling stuff for him to eat, giving him treats, and he can get a little bit around the edges of the fence. But I mean, these pigs are in this huge area, really, and all on his own. Within a couple weeks, he kind of destroyed it. Once we get these ladies over here and settled in, we can start expanding or moving him back through the woods a little bit so he can get some more green area. But he's going to go back to the bachelor life for at least 6 months. Because like I said, we don't need to breed that many piglets anymore. Here's Miss Amy. Pretty soon, girl. Yeah, you're a good boy, Connor. You're pretty nice. Go, Amy. Want that? Go, sweetie. Yeah. That's good stuff, huh? There you go. Smart girl. Oh, yeah. You can see her milk's coming in, but nothing serious yet. I love these Hereford hogs. They're the best. They're a true American breed. They're a heritage hog. They're on the Slow Food Arc of Taste list as being one of the best tasting meats. They produce a really dark red, rich flavored pork with a great amount of fat. They don't get huge. They have really great docile personalities. They're good moms. They're hardy in the woods. They're everything I could ask for in a pig. I couldn't say enough good things about the Herefords. Definitely my favorite hog I've ever raised. The way I determine the day that we'll start grazing are a couple of factors. This year it was when we ran out of hay. Not that I couldn't go get more, but I had to make the decision whether I needed to get another load delivered or not. But the biggest factor is really the grass itself. I like to wait till most of my pasture, or at least the area of pasture that I'm going to start them on, is at least 12 inches high in growth before we start grazing. Now, the area that I put them on first thing is not quite that high. It's a different type of grass. This tall stuff that you see over here is Bermuda grass, and that's going to get really thick and lush and tall. And then pretty soon it's going to seed out. So it's kind of at its most nutritious and abundant at this stage of growth. And not all of my pasture looks that way. For some reason, this side of the pasture will grow a little bit faster than the far end. And I've got my chicken coops trucking all the way down there. They've been fertilizing this field all winter long, but they are only now getting to the very end of the field. So it hasn't had the full benefit of the chickens scratching and pooping around in it. And then this area just immediately outside of the sacrifice area fence gets some runoff anytime it rains from all the manure and hay that's composting in the sacrifice area. So it essentially gets more fertilized, so it grows faster. And then it's a huge tease for the sheep because they have to just look at it and drool through the electric fence. It's right on the other side of, until the day that we decide to let them out and eat it. And then grazing also has to fit in our schedule because it's an added chore every day, and we need to make sure that once we start that we are able to do it every day after that. Because especially for the sheep, they would rather hunger strike and starve than eat hay once they know there's grass available. Occasionally, like maybe the lambs will still eat some hay, and we still put it out for them pretty often to make sure that they have enough forage. But most of my sheep would prefer green grass and weeds and leaves so much more than dry hay that they would rather just go hungry and yell at me about it if I don't move them from this day forward. Now I'm probably making it sound like they're a little bit spoiled. Maybe in some cases it's true, but I've actually cultivated a herd of pretty non-selective grazers. So we have a lot of different weeds. All our pastures are surrounded by forest. So I need my sheep to be able to eat a lot of different things and not get picky about just eating like the best, most lush Bermuda grass and then leaving the rest. So they're never going to eat everything. They shouldn't eat everything. You're occasionally going to get toxic weeds popping up or just plants that just aren't very nutritious. So it is important to also manage your pastures by mowing behind them, which is something that we have not done a great job of in the past, but pretty determined to be better about that this year. This little girl is getting her first taste of fresh grass, other than the few blades that she may have stolen through the bottom of the fence. But she knows what to do. Those instincts kick in, she just starts munching away. So these are really the ones that I need to keep a close eye on, that they don't get any kind of diarrhea from all this lush stuff. That's not your mom. That's Etta James, though. She'll let other lambs nurse on her sometimes. I am continuing to downsize my sheep flock, so I'm going to be selling most of my ewe lambs. I've already got 3 or 4 people that are interested in getting a bunch of them, so it shouldn't be a problem. And then I'm definitely going to cull a couple of the ewes that either rejected their lambs or just didn't do a great job mothering this year. And then a whole bunch of the wethers that we held over from last year that just weren't quite big enough are going to go to the processor this week, and they're going to be sold as whole lambs for Easter. So that just gives a lot more resources to the rest of the flock, and hopefully we'll have some better growth rates this year. We brought in the St. Croix ram from Greg Judy's herd a couple years ago to help with parasite resistance, and I feel like he's done a decent job of that. But one of the downsides is that the St. Croix is a smaller breed and they grow slower. So not great for production. What we're thinking is that we're really going to just get this flock down to more like a homestead for us and, friends and family sized production flock. I'm probably going to keep maybe 5 or 6 ewes, and the ram that I have for now will stay. And then, we'll see. It doesn't take long to build back a flock. Maybe bring in some bigger ewes. Maybe bring in some East Friesians or another dairy breed. I want to get into milking sheep. I don't know. I have options, but that is the plan for now. And then I've got one more little surprise for you. Well, actually 2. Hi, boys. Hi, boys. How are you? How are my new best buds? Rubbing your heads on me? You want your bottle, Bubba? All right, here you go. Here you go. Yeah. Good job. bears. So this little fella is Huckleberry, and he is my new purebred registered Nubian buck from some very impressive milk lines. And he is my future herd sire. And he is here so I can make some improvements to my dairy herd, specifically to our udder attachments and milk capacity. So I milk about 14 does during the spring, summer, and fall, and I sell every bit of extra milk that I have. That takes a lot of my time and effort to do that. While I love the herd of goats that I have, I would really like to start producing some more efficient girls. Some girls that'll just give me a little more milk in the pail. And that's what he's here to do. He's only 4 weeks old, but when he gets a little bit bigger, he's gonna have lots of girlfriends around here. Yeah. And then I also purchased this little fella. His name is gonna be Hercules. He is also a purebred registered Nubian buck. He does happen to be moon spotted. Not that colors should matter when you're choosing genetics, but I did get rid of Figaro this year, my moon spotted buck, and I really enjoy the beauty of these goats in my herd. So when I saw that he had all the traits that I wanted and these moon spots, I mean, he's just covered in them. You're so gorgeous. So he's a little bit older. He's about 8 weeks old. And these two are currently in quarantine together. This little guy will just not stop following me around. So they're getting, yeah, hi. Hi, little man. They're getting to be good buds. Huck is trained to a lamb bar, so we're gonna get that set up in here for him. I'm just bottle feeding him right now, so he gets to know me, so we get to be good friends. We'll get that set up, and then I'm hoping that Hercules might be a little bit too old, but I think that he's gonna learn to use it, and then we will start integrating these guys with the rest of our babies from this year. And I'm kind of hoping that he can teach them to use the lamb bar, but we'll see. It'll be a learning experience for all of us. So he came from Triple B Nubians in Elizabethtown, North Carolina. I'm really grateful to them to trust me with such a gorgeous, well-bred buck. But he's gonna be super well-loved here. He's gonna have a long life as our main herd sire here on the farm. So he will be the primary buck that we will be breeding to over the next couple seasons. But Hercules will get his fair share of ladies as well, because we want to get some of that beautiful color and some of his really big, nice bone structure into our herd as well. So looking forward to seeing what daughters these guys can produce and making huge improvements to our herd over the next couple years. All right, guys, well, that was all I had for today. Thanks so much for joining us for this little update. We'll be back with some more kidding videos very shortly. And if you've missed any of the births that we've had so far this season, you can check out our playlist right here. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.